Welcome to the February Lisle Township meeting. Calling this meeting to order. Could we have a roll call, please?
We need a second. Trustee Robinson walked out for a moment.
Okay, we're 1 minute in.
Oh, that clock is on. Yeah. That clock is old. And it should be replaced. After the walls are painted. Right, we'll figure something better out.
Okay, so trustee Robinson is here. Okay. Thank you. Want to begin this meeting, so roll call, please.
Sure. Supervisor Hewitt,
Here.
trustee Robinson, trustee Page,
Here.
trustee McGovern, trustee Geist,
Yes.
Commissioner Young.
Sure.
Thank you. And Attorney Sinclair is on the Zoom as well. Public comment, or sorry, we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, a nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yes.
Great, and then, let me just see if there's any public. Signed up for public comment, and I saw 2 public comments online. Just gonna refresh and make sure I didn't see. Okay. There's 2. Okay. I do see that one of the people that had public commented is here. Diane, did you want to read it yourself?
Sure, I'd be happy to. My name is Diane Sellinger, and I live in the Woods of Hobson Green subdivision across from the Green Valley Forest Preserve and Dog Park. Our community needs your help in stopping an ongoing safety issue on the stretch of Green Road between Hobson Road and 75th Street. Since November of 2022, we have logged nearly 1,000 semi-trucks a year, breaking speed and weight restriction laws. They use this road as a shortcut to access a large truck yard at the base of the Green Valley landfill. Drivers ignore the current posted 5-ton weight restriction and recklessly speed. Excuse me. It's an accident or fatality waiting to happen. This Will County truck lot is owned by Elmhurst Stone and Quarry, and their major tenant is Eagle Holding, a Serbian-owned trucking organization also based in Elmhurst. From the top of the landfill, you can count an excess of 600 cabs and trailers on that lot. I am here today after an exhaustive series of phone calls, texts, emails, and in-person meetings with local government officials and Eagle Holding representatives to ask for greater cooperation and escalation from the township to resolve this matter. We need to protect the township residents, the motorists, pedestrians, and bicyclists who use this narrow road on a daily basis. We cannot sit and wait for one of these reckless drivers to cause a fatality. In fact, the driver of a trailer bearing the Eagle logo is currently under arrest for a fatal hit-and-run accident which occurred in Sullivan, Missouri in November of 2024. I have implored Jeff Brown, president of Elmhurst Stone and Quarry, to not renew, or better still, to truncate Eagle's current lease. Safety must be more important than profit. Our northern portion of Green Road is not a truck route. We need your help in taking a multi-pronged approach to this illegal activity. For instance, the Lisle Township Road Commissioner needs to improve the signage. The law enforcement agencies need to enforce the traffic laws, and your team needs to put pressure on Eagle Holding and Elmhurst Stone to fix this problem. We welcome your help. Please let me know how you plan to proceed. Thank you.
Thank you. And then the next one was from Claire Goldenberg. I'm an engaged voter concerned about how my tax dollars are being spent. Every time I go or watch the board meetings, I'm surprised, but I don't know why after 3.5 years of the same arguments and conflicts by the dysfunction of this board. Trustee Geis seems bent on comparing this governmental board to a corporate board time and again, and will not consider how different they are and must be. Even after serving as an elected official for almost a full term, she again got her fellow board members to go against their own rules. And as a result, the meeting became very difficult to follow with so many people talking at the same time and over each other. The harping of duplication of services is a broken record and not appreciated by the community. If the community were well served and we had no homeless and no food insecure among us, then we could start a conversation about too many services. But until that time, the job of our elected officials is to do everything in their power to spend our tax dollars to ensure that the least among us have what they need to thrive in our community. At the last meeting, January 21st, trustee Geis started in with the medical lending closet, suggesting that we should not have it as it is due to a duplication of what is the Lisle Park District offers. Again, she knows nothing about what she starts off about. The township began their lending operation before the Park District, and both are still not able to serve the needs of our community. Just pick up the phone and talk to the director. During the finance committee meeting, the trustees seemed so pleased with themselves that the budget they are proposing for the 25-26 fiscal year does not increase the 24-25 year. How does that comport with their mission to serve the community, and how do they expect to increase services, expand the food pantry and its hours and transportation program, et cetera, without increasing spending their budget? Please increase your GA budget to help more people. Okay, that is the public comment portion. Next is the accountant's report. This is the month where we put in the investment report as well. Any questions?
No, I'll just mention that there was a discussion, but
Trustee Robinson.
trying to meet with, John Light and the supervisor and myself to just review the numbers before we finalize the budget. The amended budget for the current fiscal year, as well as the budget for the next fiscal year, that hasn't been scheduled yet. That's gonna happen after this meeting. The expenses are all in line with where they have been, and the increases we have proposed in the amended budget will accommodate the spend that's here. So I don't know if you've had a chance of spending more time with a lot of economics, but I don't think there's any unexpected expenses that are gonna come in the next 2 months, right?
No, I can foresee it.
The only one is the biggest expense will be capital, which will be related to the window replacements if they get done in February/March, and that may happen in the current fiscal year.
Yeah.
That's budgeted for.
Budgeted for, we have enough to cover that, then the floor and the walls.
Yeah, but they'll get done in the current fiscal year, but yeah. Okay, thank you.
I think that there could be one other capital expense that we need to take a look at. Assessor Trowbridge isn't here, but that's something I can brief you guys on. With him, it's best with him. It might be, we need to look at the key in that facility.
Okay.
So, but we don't know the cost yet.
Okay. Well, we have until a March meeting to finalize appropriate amendments for the current fiscal year, as well as setting the budget for the next fiscal year. Okay, cool, thanks.
Okay, then next is audit of the bills and claims.
I'll make a motion to conduct the audit of bills and claims.
Second.
And then any discussion? And roll call vote, please.
Trustee Page.
Yes.
Trustee McGovern.
Yes.
Trustee Robinson.
Yes,
Trustee Geist,
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt.
Yes. Okay, next is the approval of the bills and claims.
Discussion? Do you want to list it or should I?
Oh, I have it right here in front of me.
Yeah, I do too.
Well, we can't make a motion to approve. We have to discuss first. Is the wording incorrect on this?
Well, you'd
There
make a
are
motion to amend, but if you want to.
Okay, I make a motion to approve the road, the township and road district bills and claims. Well, no, because we have to amend it, so it cannot be as presented.
Yeah, there's some signatures.
Yeah. Let's go through this list. It should be pretty quick. I had emailed John and Clerk Polowitz and Trustee McGovern on this. We have a bunch to get through, but they're pretty quick. Can we start with 51806? With that was to remove a name. Perfect, all right. 51819 requires second signature. This was for alarm detection
Done
service.
this evening,
Perfect. 51824 required second signature, Fair Landscaping.
Yep. done,
51829 requires two signatures. This is Building Stars Chicago,
yep,
done. 51831 requires second signature.
done,
51838 requires second signature.
Done.
51839 requires second signature.
done.
51841 requires a signature from office staff.
I checked and we're good there.
Okay. 51844 needs receipts.
Got them today,
51845 requires a second signature.
done,
51848 requires signature.
done,
51849 requires a young signature.
done.
518.
signed it.
He did.
Okay, you just didn't read
We
it?
didn't see it, it was
Let
It
the
was
record
there, so
show.
yes, yeah, he did.
51873, well, we just want to say hi. 51873 requires second signature.
Done,
51888, what is this? This is a confusing one. This is
Yes.
Robin Schwartz Legal for Supervisor.
What is this?
I do not know, I did not contact.
Something about a ballot.
So I didn't do that. I'm pretty sure it would have been the clerk.
No, it would not. This is, you approved it. Nobody had reached out to me. This is a law firm that I really don't know anything about. I don't remember that we even approved. It doesn't even make sense to me. But you did approve it.
Yes,
I guess
Yeah,
we'll look at it.
so what this is saying is it's, Robin Schwartz is the attorney. It does say that it's for professional services rendered through November 30th. And then it says there was a phone call on November 6th, 2024, telephone conference with Bond regarding county clerk question concerning ballot certification issues.
so that's,
You approved it,
yes, I
so.
did. Because I assumed that it was something
He
that had
doesn't
to
know
do.
anything
with
about
the-
it. Okay.
I'm looking at this. So what I had. So they have been apparently on retainer since former Supervisor Tarulas. And I'm pretty sure that it would have something to do with the county clerk asking them about ballot certification issues. So when I looked at the bill from Ansel and Glink about something with regards to the it was another ballot question with that I'm pretty sure you would have had to have talked to. And
I didn't see any Ansel Glink bill.
Regarding the
There
primary.
was no Ansel Glink bill.
it went to Ed because I gave it to, because frankly, I hadn't seen anything with that regards, but it was an election issue.
Caucus issue, it had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I would suggest we don't pay this, just because no one, you approved
Completely
it, but you don't seem to know what it is and nobody else knows it. So I would suggest that we don't pay it unless it's something you did personally.
I did not talk to anybody
Okay.
about anything with regards to this.
Okay,
Oh,
But
but you
it
need to pull that.
Does
and-
say
yeah.
that the county clerk question them concerning ballot certification issues. So,
Yeah, there's been no problem with ballot certification.
Oh.
And no,
well, that's,
Is it possible this is not our bill then? Because you said county clerk, not township clerk.
correct.
Maybe.
sure, we can get some more information.
Okay, thank you. All right, so,
I would
Ready?
do that before I would have approved it, but
okay,
A phone call would have taken care of that if you would have just called me to say, do you know anything about this?
okay, we ready?
Mhm.
51901. This bill is connected to the cell phone and the name of a former member of staff is on it. Have we confirmed?
The number, I called it today.
Okay.
and Started to look into this. Here's my recommendation with this bill. One of the numbers has been disconnected,
Okay,
but it seems like they're still billing us for it. And it's got a former staff member's name on it, that used to work here at this building. So I think the phone bill and a conversation needs to be had with them to get the entire bill straightened out. And to get the right names associated with the right numbers so that we have a clear trail. I would put that bill off until next month. Don't pay it because it doesn't make sense that they're charging us for numbers that, like, when you call it, it says the number has been disconnected.
okay,
So, and it still has 2 iterations ago people's names on it. So I think it just needs to be cleaned up so that we actually know what's out there.
okay,
And there, if we continue to pay it, they're not gonna fix it. This is our leverage to get them to fix it.
where's the physical phone?
I don't know that. I haven't been able to figure that out.
Does this township assign phones to staff?
This particular, all of those phones are assigned and the staff member knows exactly where they are. I've gone through this a few times with that staff member, trying to figure out, the correct nameage on there. So please talk to that staff member, because I tried to get that solved last month, or 2 months ago, and apparently that didn't
Could I-
get solved.
Could I ask a question on that? You said that the one that's disconnected was to a former employee. Could you find out when that was disconnected as well?
Please
Yeah.
do.
Thank you.
Cause I wanna go back. and
Okay,
say, you've been discharging us for this. It's been disconnected. Why are we getting a bill?
It should have been disconnected
Well-
the end of November last year.
the other
A year
part
ago.
is I'm fearful that it's the same like our insurance
Yeah.
that we've been
Yeah.
paying for 9 months without disconnecting it.
Mhm. Okay, so we'll put it into.
Nothing at the time when I had checked with it was disconnected. The staff member said that everything was connected and that we were being charged for everything correctly. So just 2 months ago, that's the conversation that staff member and I had about that exact same bill.
Okay, so 51907 requires receipts and signature.
Got that one fixed.
All right, 51911, missing everything.
There's nothing there.
Okay.
So I don't know why that's even listed.
Okay. And then all of the Naperville Bank and Trust required signatures.
We did that. The only signature I've been unable to get, and that's just due to an absence, was for claim number 51848. That was the only signature. And that's due to just an absence.
Okay,
So that was assessor.
okay,
Just need to assign it. So if you want to approve that one pending a signature. Sign it.
okay, sure.
He's
Yeah,
usually
yeah,
very
yeah.
good about it.
Let me make a note about that.
Yep.
So I didn't know about any of these, so if you could pull the ones that have just been pulled
those
so that
two.
we can change the check certification.
All those.
Okay, and that was the end of my list. So I will make a motion to approve the township and road district bills and claims as amended. We are pulling check number 51888. 51901. 51911. And then 51848 will approve pending a signature from the assessor. Second.
Okay, then any other discussion? And a roll call vote.
Trustee Page?
Yes.
Trustee McGovern?
Yes.
Trustee Robinson?
Yes.
Trustee Geist?
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt?
Yes. Okay, next is discussion and possible action on the amended fiscal, 2024-2025 budget ordinance.
Why is this on here?
Because we usually have it on here, when it's in between the time of having it being approved and having it approved. So usually there's some discussion as to whether there's any changes that need to happen, or not. That's why
Okay,
it's on.
the way you have it on here, it's already been approved last month.
No, it hasn't been approved.
It had, the draft was approved and the direction to publish it in the paper was already done last month. That's what you have on here to direct the clerk to do a March 12th, meeting. That's the reason why it was on last month, was because it would not be 30 days if we approved it today. That's already been taken care of last month. It's already been published in the paper. It's already been taken care of. If this was on the agenda as having a conversation about it, that's something different than what you put on the agenda.
Okay, it says discussion and possible action.
Keep
So,
looking.
again, yes, I keep seeing that, and so we're discussing this and potentially making any changes if there is. So is there any changes that anybody needs? Highway Commissioner Young.
Yeah, there's basically two documents that come before the trustees, that are the most important documents to approve for each year, the levy and the budget. The levy explains to the residents how much you're gonna take, and the budget tells you where you're gonna go. Despite the budget being one of the most critical documents that you look at, you still have budgets that are posted out here, posted online today, that don't float. That shows a total disregard to the residents of the township. I think the supervisor, the trustees, the finance committee should be ashamed for posting such information.
Any other discussion? Okay,
I'll just make a motion to table this. I don't think there's no discussion has happened since the last meeting.
so it's not tabling, there doesn't need to be anything that happens. If there's no discussion, then we just move on.
Okay, move on.
So then discussion and possible action on the tentative 25-26. Does anybody have any discussion? Or do you want to just move on?
I will reiterate my remarks about this budget. It doesn't.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, then moving on to 10, discussion and possible action about renewing the 1-year landscaping contract with Fair Landscaping Group for 2025.
Yes. This is coming back to you. We followed up on the question. I think trustee guys had asked, and it was about more detail on the proposed increase in contract year over year. What I found out, I reached out to Bear, and I was referencing the wrong contract on the website. The contract, the actual final contract from last year, there was an amendment to it where they removed the retention pond.
Okay.
So there, long and short of it is there is no increase. It's the same as cost from last year.
Okay.
So I know trustee guys just virtually.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you for your follow-up. I really want you to know how important that is, that when we do have questions as board members, that we get answers in a timely manner. So thank you for that.
And you can raise your hand too, with your virtual hand too. Trustee Robinson.
And just thank you for all you've done. I echo what trustee Geist said. This includes the retention bond, right? This contract.
The retention pond, I think, is maintained by, is it?
Which one?
With that?
This one, I don't think, we did, the one on, in the back,
I think it's the one where the old assessor's building was.
no, we don't know.
No, that was the issue that came up last year. We had to amend the contract to address that.
So let me pull the map that's attached.
I've seen the map on the back. It looks like it is part of the area, but I just want to confirm.
Whatever is on the map is the landscaping that they're required to do by the
Okay,
contract.
yeah.
Can you see this?
I could take.
It's on the back of the memorandum. This is where the
That's what, yeah,
4721 was.
had to be added in right, last year.
Yeah,
Here you go.
Thank you.
So it has both ponds. It has both of them. The red and the yellow.
I don't think we take care of it. There's one back.
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure you don't take care of it. That's why we had to amend it last year.
That's where the old building was.
retention pond back here too.
Right there. There's one back.
Right there.
This is,
Takes care of that.
we take care of that. I don't think we take care of it. Right. I don't think we've got that. back, so.
Just let it.
Right, so this is the exact one as last year that was approved. That because we had to amend it to make sure that that one in red was added. This one,
The one in red was that.
yes.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, fine. So the same as we did last year, right?
Yes,
I'll make a motion to approve the 1-year landscaping contract with Bear Landscaping Group for 2025.
Second.
any other discussion in a roll call vote?
I was just gonna say, do we wanna put an amount on that? Or,
It's.
not that, I don't know,
On here,
if probably good practice to do that.
It's probably amend it today.
Sorry, not to make it more difficult.
I'm sorry, I will amend my motion. I will make a motion to approve the 1-year landscaping contract with Bear Landscaping Group for the year 2025 in the amount of $6,250.
I have 6,500.
I'm sorry, I'm a little backwards. No, you're right. Mine says the same thing.
Okay.
It's just my brain said something different.
Then could I ask a question,
for Colowitz,
or maybe I'm answering myself? 2-year contract extension option, it's still 6,520 every year.
6,520.
Mhm. Got it, I answered my own question, sorry.
okay, and then, is there a second with that
I
amendment?
believe that was the second.
Okay, any other discussion? Get a roll call vote,
Trustee Page?
Yes.
Trustee McGovern?
Yes.
Trustee Robinson?
Yes,
Trustee Geis?
Yes,
Supervisor Hewitt?
yes, and that does not include the mulching, just so we're clear, or do you want it to include the mulching?
It's listed as.
Optional,
You're not supposed to mulch every year anyway. I don't think.
so we're passing on the mulching this year. Correct?
Mhm.
Okay. Making sure. Okay, then, it's pest and then discussion possible action about a service agreement for pest control services with Men in Black, pest control services for 2025.
Men in Black has been a company that we have called on a one-time only basis to perform pest control services in the food pantry specifically. The last time the gentleman was here that represented Men in Black, he proposed a service agreement. I think it's a good idea, not waiting for the problem, but actually being preventative, having them come in here on a regular basis and control that. We do have a lot of food out there. We do have people coming in and we are inspected by the health department. I think this is just a good business practice. So my recommendation, this is a company we've been working with. From what I've been told the last several years, they've done a good job when we've called them, but this puts us on a regular basis. We're not waiting for the problem. We're actually being notified.
Agreed. And is Men in Black, are they
Trustee Page,
who recommended the quarterly? Okay, I had asked this before when I, with my son's college apartments, just right in there by the landlord,
Yeah.
monthly pest control included.
Yeah.
So, but they're satisfied that quarterly will keep us
Quarterly should keep us in good shape. That's
perfect.
my understanding of what they told
Okay,
staff.
I'll make a motion to approve a service contract for pest control services with Men in Black Pest Control for the year 2025 for $275 per quarter or $1,100 annually.
Well, second,
Thank you, trustee Page and trustee Robinson. Any other discussion? And a roll call vote, please.
Trustee Page?
Yes.
Trustee Robinson?
yes,
Trustee McGovern?
Yes.
Trustee Geist?
Yes,
Trustee Hewitt?
Yes. Next is purchasing 500 garbage stickers from Lakeshore Recycling Systems LLC.
sorry, 12.
No, sorry, discussion and possible action on quote to repair the exterior lighting of the flagpole, which display the United States Township flags from Renaissance Maintenance.
Yes, we noticed, last month, or actually 2 months ago, that the exterior flagpole displaying the United States flag is not lit at night. And really proper etiquette with the flags are they either have to be illuminated at night or they have to be taken down. So, you know, it's best, we already have lights out there. So we just simply ask Renaissance Maintenance to see if they can turn on those lights. There are some electrical problems, so they're not currently working. The cost to get them fixed is $1,192, and that involves calling an electrician in and doing some work. But that will repair the lights so that they come on automatically at dusk. You see the photocell out back and they're linked to it. And that will make sure that we're in compliance with proper flag etiquette.
I'll make a motion to approve the quote for the repair of the exterior lighting of the flagpoles to, which display the United States and Township flags from Renaissance Maintenance at a cost of $1,192.
Second?
Any other discussion? And the roll call vote, please.
Trustee Page?
Yes.
Trustee McGovern?
Yes.
Trustee Robinson?
Yes,
Trustee Geist?
yes,
Supervisor Hewitt?
Yes. Okay, and it passes. Next, we have the purchase of 500 garbage stickers from Lakeshore Recycling for $2,450.
I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of 500 garbage stickers from Lakeshore Recycling Systems.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? And a roll call vote.
Trustee McGovern?
Yes.
Trustee Page?
Yes.
Trustee Robinson?
yes,
Trustee Geist?
yes,
Trustee Hewitt?
Yes. Right, next is discussion and possible action about the update to the digitization contract and timeframe with Lauterbach and Allen. Trustee McGovern?
I have questions. So we have done this retro to our records. And going forward, what are the costs? Is this included in the cost going forward to make copies, digital copies of all records, or that's that an added expense? How much are we paying overall? Or the I see the cost of, $21,000, but what's being done now? Like, is it going into digital automatically?
Is it going? No, it's
No.
not going to.
So how much cost are we incurring going forward? Or how often do we have to pay this increment of 20 grand? Because I think it's getting excessive, and I think there's a better way.
Eventually, this is my take on it. I think we're doing this in big chunks now because we have an extreme amount of records that have been built up over the years. So this is like the first time we're spending a lot of money to get
In
caught
the
up.
retro
On,
records,
yeah, on an ongoing basis, I would expect the cost to be, maybe at most like an eighth or a ninth of this cost on an annual basis, because we won't have that many records. Furthermore, I think that you're going to be limited in storage and want to digitize your scanner. But really, on an annual basis, you're doing a lot of your financials, and some of them, because you've gone more digital with things like budgets, won't require the physical storage that they're doing. They're trying to copy lots of records that were all paper converted.
How far back are we going, just to understand the depth of this again? I know we've been over it, but it's just the number hits me every time. It does.
My answer would be way before I was here, and
Right.
it's, to be honest with you, I'm
Before
not
I
sure
turned
the order.
Decades.
Yeah.
In some cases, decades, right?
Yeah, and
Decades.
yeah, it's,
Okay.
it's pretty big, and we we found other records that we
That's part
shared.
of the increase.
Yeah, one of the other things that drove the need to revisit this when we met, Diane and I met with Ms. Flores, who works with Waterback, is that because we were cleaning out drive, we found additional records that were just back there. So that drives the cost up even more, but you know, we're able to collaborate with other staff, like we were able to get the assessors some books that were actually very important, gigantic two books. But this is an expensive proposition, but my recommendation is to digitize because you don't have the space to maintain the physical paper.
All right, thank you for helping me understand. I know it's a project, but I just,
It's,
it seems unending.
It-
I
does.
together.
Have we gone through this complex with a fine tooth comb to make sure that we've got
Oh,
everything?
sorry.
They know where everything is now.
this will include everything, and Ms. Flores will be coming on site when we do the walls and everything else, because there are file cabinets in the building that we use on a daily basis.
Mhm.
For example, all of the check stubs and things are in file cabinets in my office. What she's going to do as part of that is go through that. That'll be included with this contract. So when we have to move stuff around to paint walls and put flooring in, she is going to be coming in physically on site, helping people go through those records and
Okay.
include that with digitization. And I thought that was an important piece of the partnership that she was willing to do that.
Yeah.
And she offered it up and she said, yes, I'll help you do that. Part of that's trying to capture everything so we get to a baseline where we know what we got. Because otherwise, you're right, Stephen Governor, it does seem unending. We don't get to that baseline and know what we have going forward, it just seems like never ending. So.
Trustee Robinson.
Yeah, thank you. So this is an increase to 21. We'd originally approved some amount of work with them, correct?
We did.
So what's the delta?
Good question. I don't know the delta off the top.
I'm just
of my
trying to
head.
try to read through all this to see if I can find out what the
Yeah.
delta is.
I was more focused on the reason for the change to the delta, so I apologize. I don't know the delta off the top of my head.
I guess we can look back.
We should take bets because I almost want to say I know what the amount is, but
I
I
do
don't take
too,
bets.
But
That
I don't.
I'm gonna
know.
say 13,000.
That's exactly what I was gonna
Yeah.
say.
Last question out of me. When we were in the garage, there were two very large metal file cabinets that had records in them, and then they were gone. So do we know that those have been included?
Yes, I believe those were those ones that were moved up here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And they were actually not necessary to keep anything, and part of what they did with the inventorying is they did a lot of shredding with things that didn't need to be kept. So quite a bit got shredded. And part of this, I think, is gonna really curtail a whole lot of accumulation of paper in the future, because there's gonna be a process set forth. For example, in accounting, where things will be scanned immediately, after they're, for example, after these bills are done, they're not just gonna go into a paper cabinet, they're gonna be scanned into a larger framework in our server, so that it's not, so that it's accessible for FOIAs, so that it's easily more easily used.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve the update to the digitization contract and time frame with Lauterbach and Annen to $21,150.
Second.
And a second. And then any other discussion? And the main discussion I have is that they have this timetable here. They plan to give monthly updates as to where they're at with going over to being fully digitized and whatnot. And then I see trustee Guy's hand up.
So my question regarding this is, this digitization is still going to be beneficial to us whether we remain with Lauterbach and Annen, or if we were to revert back to QuickBooks. I'm not saying we are, I'm just asking the question.
Yes, this is being put into our servers, so it has nothing to do with them and their whatever type of files that they're
Thank
doing
you.
directly into our servers. Okay, and a roll call vote, please.
Trustee Page?
Yes.
Trustee McGovern?
Yes.
Trustee Robinson?
Yes,
Trustee Geist?
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt?
Yes. Okay, next is discussion and possible action to approve ordinance 2025-03, an ordinance authorizing and adopting amended standard of operating procedure for vehicle usage. Township Administrator. Light,
Looking through our operations, and it's part of a continuous process of improvement. There are some things we could do better with our vehicle usage policy. And part of that's tightening up the use of vehicles, specifically related to volunteers and having an approval process. And also spelling out how frequently driving record checks are run and by whom. And this is something that I think is really important in the bigger picture, for a host of different reasons. One is you basically should, by policy, say who can drive your vehicles and who can't. We do have a fair amount of drivers and you have added to your fleet. So it's natural to start to upscale our efforts to manage our risk and exposure in this area. And as you remember, our insurance renewal this year was, I think, 14%. For property, casualty, auto, all inclusive in those. This is something that you can do if you get another high increase, provide your broker and say, look we're doing better. We're taking affirmative steps to make sure that our operations are really safe, that we're doing our due diligence with drivers, that we're making sure they're trained, and we're putting clear restrictions on who can use vehicles. Right now, I don't want to say it's loosey-goosey. We've made huge steps forward in, talking with our drivers, meeting with them and putting a framework around what they can and can't do. We need to just step it up a couple more notches. And then that is specifically in the volunteer area. One thing that I did build in, after some careful discussions is, if we ever do need a volunteer to use the vehicle, there's no approval process that can only be done by the board too. Okay, we do have a fair amount of drivers, so that would be really occasional that would ever need to be happening. But there is that, what I call safety belt built into the policy. That you need it.
Trustee McGovern.
By the board as in a 2 trustee, 6 sign off, just the 2 trustee, okay.
And do we have 6 drivers
Trustee Page.
signed to the vehicles? So we
Yeah.
have 4 part-timers and 2 full-timers, right?
Yeah.
Jordan, Joe, George, Clarence, Tony, and Jim.
Yeah.
Okay. And then that completes the drivers.
completes.
Okay, thank you. Did I do their names?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm impressed. I was counting them out.
Cute.
I do this in my sleep. Okay, I agree with. This is best practice. So I will make a motion to approve ordinance number 2025-003. An ordinance authorizing and adopting an amended standard operating procedure for vehicle usage.
A second,
Any other discussion? And a roll call vote.
Trustee Page?
Yes.
Trustee Robinson?
yes,
Trustee McGovern?
Yes.
Trustee Geist?
Yes,
Supervisor Hewitt?
Yes. Okay, next is discussion and possible action to approve ordinance 2025-04.
So key standards. So as you know, we use physical keys in this building for not only vehicles, but the building. Another thing that we need to tighten up our standards in, especially preparing for a transition as we have with offices and organizations, is we need to have centralized places where keys are kept, and they have to be inventoried and accessible to people. So there needs to be redundancy, like if one person's sick, there may be a key somewhere else. Or if, for example, if the director of our food pantry, all the keys to all the vehicles should not be hanging on hooks. They should be in a lockbox and they're signed in and signed out each day. That way you know that your driver came back, you know your driver is okay. And if you need to find the key, you know where it's at. You have a lockbox that's bolted to the wall. If the director of the food pantry is sick for whatever reason, you have another lockbox that has the master key for those vehicles, which they can sign out there. So that's the concept of redundancy. And those are in the offices, the physical places where people who are expected to be here Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, that's where you keep them. And there is a sign out process, just like when you sign on as an employee, you sign out like you're given a key to your office, a key to the building. You sign something. You also sign, part of that acknowledgement And this creates that formal process and that infrastructure and formalizes a lot of the practices that we have here. And we'll build off it so that when someone onboards, they're given 2 keys. For example, they may be given a key to the building and a key to their office. Then when they leave, you know what keys to collect from them. Or if something ever were to go wrong, you have a key log that shows this is who had the keys. It's not casual, it formalizes what we're doing, because again, you're investing more in this building. And you're building not a huge fleet, but you purchase extra vehicles, so it's just normal that we would take these extra steps. The third thing is, yes, we go back to the insurance company next year at renewal time and show them this. These are all things that your broker, you know, when we give your broker this information and he turns and gives it to the insurance company and says, look, these guys are proactively managing their risk. Don't give them a 14% increase, give them a 12%. But this is, I think you're at the point now where you need to do this.
I agree.
So,
All right, I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 2025-004, an ordinance authorizing and adopting an amended standard operating procedure related to key storage.
Second,
Any other discussion? So just to be clear, what happens when the township administrator doesn't have their keys? Cause it looks like everything would be in the township administrator's office.
well, or designate, it could be at somebody else's office.
Okay, then a roll call vote.
Trustee Robinson,
Yes.
trustee McGovern,
yes.
trustee Page.
Yes.
Trustee trustee Geist.
Yes, but I didn't get to raise my hand fast enough. I just was gonna suggest, would it make sense to have the keys at the front desk where they would always be accessible?
That's too dangerous for theft.
Well, the only drawback there, trustee guys, would be it's in an open area where we could physically lock the office if needed. It may be best and safest to have it in somebody's office, because then you also, you know, when someone's coming into your office, rather than in just a general area, the reception area, because we do have a lot of foot traffic in there too. And I would hate to have anything, you know, if someone comes in and someone just leaves that little lockbox open for a minute, someone grabs keys. I think it's best that we have it in an office for just retention of the security.
Yeah, I couldn't recall if there was a file cabinet that would be closed so someone wouldn't see visible keys out, but it just seems like everybody in the office has access to the reception area and maybe not everyone's individual office.
Yes, everybody does have access to the reception area. And I see the goodness in what you're saying. I also think maybe just we should start off maybe just a little bit with a little higher standard than if we need to. We could always modify it down a little bit, but I think it's good to start out with the formalities and bake that into your culture.
Okay, and then one other question, what happens if in the middle of the night or at a certain time, I've gotten a number of calls from the police. Then who's gonna come and then secure or take care of that situation?
The alarm call?
Alarm call or a issue where the police are asking for something to be, if something wasn't locked, like will not lock a door, or because they're not going to have the code, they can't turn off the alarm, but they just have the keys to the facility.
Then 2 things. If everybody has an exterior key, which we can issue people to an exterior key, they should be able to lock those exterior.
So I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, like, say the police come and they say, oh, well, they have the ability to come in and they're not gonna lock the facility. So meaning that somebody would have to come after the police to make sure that whatever is done, say, for example, this door over here. A lot of times Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, it's unlocked for the food pantry. So that door right out this hall. So say that wasn't done.
Say it wasn't locked.
So then, in particular, in that case, somebody would need to come and lock that door. So who's gonna be on call
Who
essentially?
comes now?
Now it would be me.
Not done.
So how would you like to see this be done if it's not done this way?
No, I'm just saying, then in the interim township administrators, the job description or whomever, there'd be an expectation of who's gonna be coming.
I think. I think two separate issues. I think we can address that issue and have that assigned to somebody. But I think the management of the keys and the inventory of the keys, and making sure that we have a complete log and tracking access. That I see as a little separate issue than responding to alarm calls, and here's why. If someone has a key to get into the facility, they can come in and lock the door from the inside, and then it's locked and reset the alarm system after the police come. They can do that, or the key can lock it itself from the exterior door. So if someone has a key, they can do that. And if we need to, and it might be we might develop an SOP just for that. Who responds to alarm codes, who the alarm company is really contracted to provide normal reports to and things like that. That would be another good idea. So I appreciate you bringing it up, because I think that might be another area that we can work on and get to better with, especially during time where we do see various things happening in the workforce. It's good to have a better process. So we can definitely do that next month. So if the board's interested in that, we can work on that.
Okay. And we're almost done with the roll call then.
Yeah, I believe we were at trustee Geist.
Did you think you're going?
I'm not sure.
I thought I accepted.
Okay, and Supervisor Hewitt.
I'll abstain. Next, we have the proclamation of Black History Month. So whereas founded on work being begun in 1926 by Carter G. Woodson to bring attention to the need for acknowledging and accurately representing Black and African American history, Black United States, and Black educators laid by Woodson to found Black History Month in 1970, and beginning in 1976, every president has declared the month of February as Black History Month. And whereas Black and African Americans have made countless contributions that made the United States better and have enriched America in the lives of every American. And whereas throughout our history to the present day, Black and African Americans have experienced the inhumanity of inequities, not just from societal institutional biases and racism rooted in white supremacy, but also from other Americans. Whereas it is a moral requirement that each of us learn about, sheds light upon, and condemns the inhumanity of injustices and inequities that Black and African Americans continue to experience and endure, but moreover, that each of us takes action to realize genuine reforms. And whereas to be silent in voice and complacent in action is to be complicit in the inhumanity of injustice. Now, therefore, I, Diane Hewitt, Supervisor of Lisle Township, do at this moment recognize February 2025 as National Black History Month, and I ask each of us to listen, learn from, and about Black voices, confront and biases and racism stoked by white supremacy, and to take action to realize genuine reforms to ourselves, our community, our culture, and our institutions to abolish injustice and inequalities that Black and African Americans still experience and endure today. Next is the supervisor's report. And I've been keeping updates with this food pantry link, so it shows the changes in every month with the regards to the numbers in the households and individuals and children. So you can see that. You can also see the previous year's numbers as well.
That's a spreadsheet?
Yes, it is. Which you can link to right here. The food pantry distributed food to 808 families in January, and there were 2,141 people served, including 714 children. GA cases, there were 23 in January, with $16,267 granted, with 9,795 in rental assistance. There were 13 LIHEAP applications, 199 field calls, 5 RTAs, and there was an update to the GA numbers. and how that is being, allocated. So as of February 1, the main piece was that right now, if you were to go to get assistance, you are only allowed for this, once a year. And, for an emergency, and there isn't an apartment that I know of that was able to be rented for $1,000 in the township. So this way, the person that was coming would get a month's rent. Not, I mean, it doesn't have to be this. If their rent is $1,000, then it would go directly to the person, to the landlord, not to the person getting assistance. But it was raised, understanding that rentals have raised and trying to make sure that if the person comes and doesn't have the ability to get a match, then they couldn't even get the assistance. So that was the thought process behind that. There were 83 passports that were processed. The only grant is the 60,000 appropriation for the windows. The recycling program continues to thrive. There's a sustainable Saturday effort that is going to happen with the Village of Lisle, Scarce, eWorks, all these wonderful partners, DuPage County. That's going to be on March 15th at the Benedictine University, and we're going to go help with that. Saturday, May 3rd, looks like a good day to do a township shred and recycling event. So we'll get some bids and make sure that there's adequate information about that. Next is the review, trustee Robinson.
Yeah, can I follow up? There was some discussion about potential changes to food pantry and who's eligible. Got any updates? I know there were some training courses that are nothing.
I don't, but I can get you, I sent out.
Okay,
Yeah, I'll talk to.
because that could have significant impact on our volume, correct?
Right.
Okay.
That was again, a Illinois Department of Human Services change and a United States Agricultural Committee change. The Northern Illinois Food Bank is working on giving out better talking points to how to address it, but we haven't seen much of an increase or much of a change. The good thing is that we've had we are allowed to ask for their zip code in their county, and we've been really focused on limiting people to Lisle Township for the last year and a half, which means that people have pretty much moved on that didn't have that we're not seeing us from the township. So we're up to over 800 people that have gotten registered through us, but that change is nothing we can change because frankly, the Illinois and the federal government have changed it.
Yeah, I understand. I'm not challenging. I just want to know what the impact had been on us.
What the impact.
So you can see the numbers. I mean, they're able to be seen every month in that spreadsheet. So you can see if there's been any substantial changes, and there haven't been.
Okay, thank you.
Trustee Page.
John, can you, concerning the March 15th Sustainable Saturday
Yeah.
and the May 3rd potential township shred, can you make sure that staff is aware of this and
Yeah.
that staff is included? Thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay, review and approval of the 2025 January Lisle Township meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2025 January Lisle Township minutes and the, can I also approve the 2025 January 21st special meeting minutes?
Sure.
I'll second, but with an amendment. On the January 8th, 2025, under number 5, the appointment of Christine Carlson and Mike McGree is 2-year on the header, and then it is correct 4-year in the body. Does it matter that it says 2-year on the header?
Is the motion correct?
Yep.
then I think we're.
No, it wasn't. It was 4 years.
The motion was for a 4-year term and we did approve that. I'm just saying it right here. I'm calling this the header.
On the header is what was, I think, written
Oh,
on the
because we
agenda.
began, there you go, okay.
Okay,
I
but the motion
withdraw
is
my
correct.
amendment,
What was
so-
intended?
Yep.
Okay,
Motion is,
On the agenda. So if we look at the agenda of January 8th. To 4-year terms.
I'll double check that if that's,
thank you.
I can change it if that's.
And that was done on January 3rd.
Thank
Everything
you.
else was done on January,
Okay.
posted on January 3rd. It's clearly.
Easy change.
And then trustee Robinson.
No, sorry, I'm just thinking, so motion was made, second with an amendment, the amendment's been withdrawn,
Right.
so is that second still valid?
Second still there.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? And a roll call vote, please.
Trustee McGovern,
Yes.
trustee Page.
Yes.
Trustee Robinson.
Yeah.
Trustee Geist,
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt.
Yes. Okay, old business,
I have a question.
clerk Holloway.
Wanting to find out where you are with, giving an updated plan, with cost for the, recycling program. At the last meeting, I think it was put on pause, until we were able to get, until the board was able to get that. Unless you were doing it yourself, like you were going to be, you offered to take things to where they needed to be. But you weren't going to be having staff, so how we ended it last time was that it was going to be on pause until you delivered a plan with the cost, so
So-
where are we with that?
As I
Does that make
said,
sense?
as I said in the last meeting, I said that I would do the work. So I have been doing the work of taking all the recycling to get it placed in where it needs to go. I've been taking it to Scarce. So I've been taking it to the Lions Club to get it recycled. So there has been no township vehicle or no employee that has been needed to do any of that. So Ruby, have you seen that happen where every day I come several times sometimes to go empty out the crate? Yes. So there
There's,
hasn't been any cost to the township. for
okay,
doing-
so there's been no pause in the recycling program. It's going on. People are turning in their items like they always have.
Yes,
Because I've seen it out there and I've had it come back to me that people have said that, oh no, we heard that the recycling program is no longer, the supervisor's office is telling us it's no longer. So that was the reason for my question, because, it was said it was either going to be on pause or you were going to do it. So I just assumed that you were not doing it because the community is telling me that the supervisor's office is telling them that there's no longer a recycling program.
okay, so I've been doing literally here every day, taking all of the stuff to get it recycled. I mentioned that there's been an email that went out to all of the staff. Saying that if anybody had anything, I would be right here to go take care of it. I'm positive that the staff knew about that, so I'd be extremely surprised that any one of the staff member
I
believed
didn't say
other,
staff. So, are we also accepting the oil?
the cooking oil.
The
Yes.
whatever oil? So I thought at the last meeting, it was said no cooking
We
oil.
can actually. You guys speak. to- we've had it.
So I was just going to say, we'll talk about the cooking oil then, but if you could, have someone please put at least on social media and maybe even on the website, if you are taking care of the program, if the program is still moving forward, I think it needs to be broadcast to the public a little bit more because they believe that it's not happening right now.
Okay, and just so you know, on the county website, where if you are looking for a recycling option, we are literally listed on the county website. We do put up a post every other week about the recycling program.
I'm just
So we can
saying,
do that. You're
okay,
right,
yeah,
we
I'm
can do
not
that
talking
more.
about the county website, I'm talking about our website. And
Sure,
I'm talking about our social media. I would do it, pretty soon, because like I said, it's the community coming to us. So like I said, I just assumed that you decided that you weren't doing it. So that's why I asked about the new plan. About the cooking oil, where are we with that?
It's the cooking
My hand
oil.
has been raised too, Supervisor Hewitt, just making sure you're paying attention.
so we'll finish with Clerk Polowitz's questions and whatnot, but on the website, you can see there's still 28, 30 something pages of information on the recycling program. So I'll put it in the news to remind people that it's still there, but it says one of the top things that nothing has changed there. Township Administrator Light and then Trustee Geist.
So cooking oil that is stored and recycled out, well, it's stored in the highway commissioner is the technical owner of that barn. He allows us to use the space on the very end. There's a pallet with a large, for lack of a better term, plastic vat of cooking oil. We had our loss control rep come in just to take a look at what we're doing with recycling. He has not sent us his final report. But in some of the preliminary discussions with him, some of my takeaways were that cooking oil is something that is potentially flammable. That might be something in your risk tolerance, up to the board supervisor and the board, maybe with consultation from the highway commissioner too, that is something that would be, in my estimation, a higher risk to do on site. I think that's also of your recycling program during my time here. That's the least frequently used from what I can see. It's also one of the messier things to do. Now, keep in mind, correct me if I'm wrong, Commissioner, but that building isn't sprinklered. So in terms of risk, I don't think that there's open flame around it. It's not that kind of risk, but if you were looking at one thing that you might want to do a deeper dive on, that was my initial thought, that would be something that, may be something you really take under consideration, say, maybe we don't do this component. But I would also wait to see what the loss control person puts in his final report and see what his opinion is as the subject matter expert. So, and I think also that whatever decision you arrive at needs to be done in consultation with the highway commissioner. You're okay.
Yeah, I'm surprised that they even allow that. That he didn't right there saying, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Our flammable liquids have to be clearly marked and stored above ground.
We did, I think he's gonna elaborate more on it and also more on if we choose to accept that risk, what has to be done in terms of fire extinguishers and everything else, because there is an extinguisher immediately to the right of that. The extinguisher last was checked, I think, a couple of years ago, but it might require an additional expense, like you have to get that thing checked and serviced by like a fire company every year. And do you want to take on that operating cost versus maybe not doing it? And that's also because it's the board and the commissioner working in conjunction together. It's a discussion for all of you.
So the extinguishers and frankly, the entire building gets walked through every year from the Lisle Fire District. So it's thoroughly been checked out. Literally all the buildings in the property do. And then there is, for example, there's gas in the garage there that's clearly marked. That's more flammable than cooking oil. But I see Trustee Geist's hand up.
My hand was up from before and you said I was going to speak after Township Administrator Light. So I wanted to touch on what Clerk Polowitz said, and it speaks also to the oil. As Clerk Polowitz mentioned, we have been approached by the community members as well as viewed social media posts by, your handpicked board slate for the board, that I was against a recycling program and just how appalling that is. So I wanted just to clarify for the record, I was never against the recycling program. I was against staff who were hired to answer phones or do counseling or help with transportation calls to not be responsible or assume the liability of risk or injury of them hauling recyclables out to the garage, which is more than maybe it is more or less than 50 feet. I thought it was interesting that the people would have that information without some support. But that's neither here nor there. It's still a risk for people to go uphill pushing heavy items, and it's not in their job description. But what I was against was the oil. I think the oil is messy, it's gross. There's no real good reason for us to be collecting oil. There are other places to distribute that. And I think that our sources are better used recycling items that make sense for us to be helping with. And I want to thank you, Supervisor Hewitt, for taking on that responsibility until we have a more clear plan. So for the record, I just wanted that noted. Thank you, Clerk Polowitz.
So for the record, if the job descriptions or if the board wish to allow for an empty vehicle while driving by, for example, Scarce to get food, to drop off what is, being recycled, that's supporting the program. But you all have made it clear that you don't want to have any employees or any vehicles being used for
Please
recycling.
don't play with the semantics of this. It's inappropriate and it's unprofessional. What I said is I do not want staff hauling heavy recyclable goods up to the garage. It's not in their job description. It is a risk and a liability to us as a township of risk or injury with trucks coming through there. Or what if they slip and the cart rolls backwards and they've got a heavy object on? I'm looking out for the best interest for our township staff. I hope that you will too as well, Supervisor.
And as I've said, it's been modeled off of what exactly you.
Just so, yeah,
Um,
okay. Continue. Thank you.
Any other old business? And then new business?
Yes, I have some.
I didn't even get a chance to raise my hand for old business. So if you could just,
Okay, trustee Geist.
in the last
business.
couple of meetings, the board has repeatedly requested that any consult with council, we be made aware of the questions and the answers so that we know, so that we have that information. Because often in meetings, you, Supervisor Hewitt, will say that she spoke to the council and that this was the advice, but it's not necessarily always the whole truth. Sometimes it's like in part. And so we wanted to make sure we were getting the same information so that we could be properly advised as well. I had reached out to we'd asked for it for the last couple months and had no response. I reached out to Attorney Seckler and he said that he didn't think that that would be appropriate or something that we could ask of. And I would just like to reiterate again that the council is for the entire board. While you have selected council, the council is supposed to represent the entire board. How can we know what all of these dollars are being spent for in council if we aren't even made privy to the questions or the concerns and then the answers, so that we're not potentially calling him as well and duplicating that expense to our taxpayers?
Township Attorney Seckler.
Sure. Your request had been communicated, and I believe at least the first attorney who was there, the Attorney Duvall, indicated that that wouldn't be happening. In any event, as I indicated to you, trustee guys, that is not.
No, he did not tell us it wouldn't be happening.
Excuse me, I'm speaking.
But he didn't tell us that, just so you know.
Oh, well, if it was a she, but okay, thank you.
Neither.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. So I'm telling you now that that's not going to happen. And for a number of reasons. One, it doesn't happen anywhere. It's inappropriate. My job is to represent the township, which includes the entire board. You're absolutely correct about that. And individual officers. Now, if the township clerk, for example, wants advice about her duties in her office, she should be able to call me, and she has. And we've talked and about specific things in her office, or the assessor, or the supervisor, or each of your trustees. The point is to have an open communication and dialogue between each individual officer, and it would be wholly inappropriate for me to then turn around and share with the entire board, or you have to CC the whole board, which would also be an Open Meetings Act potential issue, about every single little thing you're going to be asking about.
No,
It
no,
doesn't
and I
happen
understand
anyway.
that.
In other ways, you know, for insurance companies, for example, we prepare reports of the legal report. And if you want to pay for something like that, we can do that. But I don't think that that's appropriate either. I think there's other ways. I understand your concern with respect to interpretations of our advice, and we have things in writing for a reason. And I'm happy to explain anything that is advised further, but and that's why keeping me in the loop, you know, I know I would know there's a desire to cut costs, and I appreciate that, and I want to help the township cut costs, and we have significantly. But if I'm in the loop, I can, and if someone's saying something that thinks that they're saying something that I advised or my office advised, and it's incorrect, then I can correct that.
Because I
And
haven't seen that happen. And
that's
yeah, okay. So what
Right.
I'm not looking for the exact specific conversation about what she needs to do in her role. I'm talking about that there's been questions where then when the answer comes up, it's not quite the exact answer that was given before. And you can say that the answer is in writing. Where would we find that? Because that's not been given, that's not given to us. So how do we know when the answer is the actual answer or not the answer? And for the record, I was not the only board member who requested this. And we asked two different attorneys, male and female. So I apologize if I misconstrued the attorney that you're referring to, but there was a male and a female substitute attorney the last 2 months, and both were asked. And they neither said that wasn't possible. They said they would talk to you. So I find it offensive for you to say to me that, well, you were told this.
Well-
That's not what happened.
So you guys.
Well, they were
attorney-
they told me that they indicated that it would be a no, but that they would also talk to me. And now I'm telling you that the plan as you presented it is not going to happen. I'm happy to work with you individually or as a collective to try to figure out a better system if you think there is a better system, but I will not be sharing individual communications with me just because the board wants to see all the communications of all the other officers.
You're oversimplifying the request. It's not just because it's what we want to do. I've explained to you why it was a request. So please don't simplify the request. The request
I
was
understand.
serious. No, don't, you say you understand it, but then you make a snarky comment like that. That's not cool with me. So all I'm saying is you've answered the question. I don't know how the rest of the board feels. They can certainly speak to you on that, but this has been a problem. You have actually sat in the chair one time when there was something that's not exactly how it was spoken. So you can understand our frustration. So thank you for your response. We don't have to discuss it further, you and I. I'll let the rest of the board speak to it.
Trustee McGovern.
This is something I was going to bring up in new business, but I think it's pretty relevant to what we're talking about right now. And in thinking about a new board coming on the dais of township, I think that a standard operating procedure of a two trustee signature to reach out to council would create communication on the board regarding issues at hand. You know, I want to ask this question, I need your signature, and then, you know, you reach out to someone else. So their conversations can grow organically and be put in trustees' minds and in three other minds and council's minds. And I think that's a better place for an idea or a question to grow. And it's a better savings for our township. We're doing much better with our, but just, you know, I know it can rev up, and I just think it keeps it in check, and it creates a source of communication.
Okay, and so, thank you, trustee McGovern. Just to remind you of where we're at with our legal spending, we're at 33,599.94. The budgeted amount is 62,000. We're going to come in well underneath the budget. We have drastically reduced our attorney fees, quite a bit. I mean, so I think that any issues have been thoroughly addressed. I think you're looking for a solution without a problem. Trustee Robinson.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I'm not in favor of that request. I have reached out, whether it be budget related, directly to the attorney, and he's been very responsive. And then I bring what he's told me back to the group. I mean, so I think we all have, he said he represents all of us, he represents the township. I just think that's, I don't think that's appropriate way for his firm to be asked to interact with the board. So that's my opinion.
Okay, any other old business? Then any new business?
Yeah.
Trustee Robbins or trustee Page?
So on January 22nd, we learned of a large spoiled load of fresh produce that was donated to this township by West Suburban Food Pantry. We were made to understand that you came with your partner and you took the truck on a weekend on the 18th. You went and picked up a large enough order from West Suburban Food Pantry that it required help offloading. And instead of letting staff know, instead of getting the help that you needed, you parked the truck and you let it sit there Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Wednesday morning, when staff went out to do their regular run with that truck, they found an enormous pile of spoiled food. I am incensed by that. I cannot imagine, we asked for this to be on the agenda, you refused. I would like to direct the admin to send a letter to West Suburban Food Pantry, naming Jordan Toops, the director of the food pantry, as their main contact going forward.
Okay, there's a text from me to staff, January 21st at 8:30 in the morning, Tuesday, that there was green beans in the vehicle. You can
18th,
see
19,
this.
20, 21.
Okay.
4
yes.
days. It sat for 4 days. You let it sit out there. And it was rotten. When they got here to offload that truck, it was rotten. And my understanding is that your staff came over to help offload and put the mess in the garbage. I would like to apologize, if we could, to West Suburban for the waste. Because it's outrageous that you did that. Honestly, it's outrageous. And then going forward, West Suburban and any other distributor of anybody that we are getting food from, they should be dealing with the director of the food pantry, not the supervisor.
So it was a Saturday. Staff is not going to come in on a Saturday. Monday was Martin Luther King's Day. So staff again was not going to come in, and West Suburban was using it themselves. They did not believe that it was going to go bad. I wouldn't have brought in bad food. Trustee guys.
I know that you wouldn't have brought in bad food, and I don't believe you brought in bad food. But the point was, if we didn't have a way to get that food unloaded, we should have let another agency take advantage of picking up that food so that somebody could have benefited from it versus it sitting rotting.
Okay, so it was in a very cold garage. It wasn't going to be put anywhere inside. We did not have refrigeration. We simply do not have the refrigeration for it to have been put anywhere else. You all decided not to get a forklift, so it wasn't going to be forklift off without help. But again, it was, that weekend was an incredibly cold weekend. It was one of the
Okay,
cold.
who drove the vehicle since you're not driving right now? Who drove that vehicle to pick up the green beans?
My spouse.
Okay,
Trustee or Clerk Polowitz.
So you picked up, I understand, a pallet plus of food, brought it here, knowing that we didn't have a forklift, just what, trustee Guy said. So, but your intent all along was to put it in this garage for just about a week, for 4 days? The intent was that this garage in the truck was gonna be fine, but nobody knew about it? There was the thought that there was a text saying that you were possibly going to be taking the truck. or getting, I don't know, taking the truck. You were possibly going to be getting some food over the weekend. So we're having a problem here. So the lack of communication is one thing. The decision making is another, that's really concerning. There's a whole pallet of food that went wrong. I mean, that went bad, that could have gone to so many other people who needed it. Like you said, West Suburban was using it. So you took it from them and took it out of the mouths of other people and let it go to waste without anybody knowing it was there. And they were surprised when they opened the truck. That was a very poor decision. It's one after another after another. It just, you knew we didn't have a forklift for you to use. No one was here on the weekend. You left it in a garage. And what do you think's gonna happen? It's going to go bad. When we go to the store, we get the stuff and when you put it in the refrigerator, you don't leave it in the car. It either freezes or it goes rotten.
Okay,
I-
so
My hand is raised, so I don't know if you can see it. I just want to add, and I'll say this very quickly. I think that's when people are dealing with food,
so I'm speaking,
Spoke a couple
trustee
times.
guys, thank you.
that's an unfortunate miss, but your partner driving a vehicle,
So again, I'm speaking.
Clerk
trustee,
Holowitz's partner vehicle,
and I'm able to speak. So again,
Trustee Robinson's wife can't drive a vehicle. She's muting me, just so you know.
okay, so my partner has driven vehicles for years for this township. Every Saturday in 2023, the majority of the Saturdays, or no, it was Sundays, the majority of the Sundays in 2023, he drove to Amazon and we got food every single Sunday for almost a year. That was what my partner did. He volunteered at this facility for sometimes 30 hours a week.
2025, that's
But he
I'm
didn't
simply
fill
saying that
anything
Right,
out.
there's
he
no
did.
background
It's not
check, we
about-
have no
he
drug
sure
He's
did.
not
We have
on
no
any
license
list, Diane.
check.
He
Exactly.
sure did.
He's not on
I'm
any
very
list.
suspicious that he
Show
literally,
us his name on the list.
he
after the
literally
meeting.
volunteered almost 20 to 30 hours every single week since 2021, and then he halted primarily in 2023 because of this board's discussion about him. So he has volunteered more than I am sure anybody else's spouse. Yes, he has. At the last Sustainable Saturday, he was the one that drove the vehicle to bring the recycling in. He constantly has fixed stuff all around this township. So again, the garage was 50 degrees in there. We did not have any room for that. Even if I had offloaded it, it was not going to be at 50 degrees. That was the coldest place in the township for it to have been at. Next
shouldn't have taken the food. That's the bottom line.
was going to go to animals. It was not even going to be used. They could not have used it.
Now
So
we're
West-
collecting food for animals.
Bring it to animals?
No, there's no problem with giving it, but that's
Do you
where the
see how
food
this
was going
looks
to
as
go.
well?
We're collecting
Supervisor?
food for animals. I'm sorry.
Weekend, getting the truck, nobody really knows about it. It leaves, it comes back. Nobody on the board knows that, or anybody knows that you're doing this every week or for what reasons you're doing this for. This time you got, caught doing it because there was, spoiled food in the garage and they caught it. Nobody knows that you're taking the vans in and out or what's happening. And that's why the policy is so good that it's being put in place, because clearly there's volunteers who are driving the truck that aren't being looked into if they even have a valid driver's license, because there's nothing being signed in and there's nothing on him as a volunteer. So again, I'm not dissing him for volunteer. Thank you for volunteering, but we need criteria around this. We cannot be taking township property in and out of the place willy-nilly. We can't have volunteers, driving trucks willy-nilly, and we cannot be just doing, operating in a bubble. We're taking things from other places and we're spoiling them, and it was, our food pantry doesn't even know about what you're doing.
Okay, so he did
Hunter,
know, and
He
again,
did not know.
okay, why is there this text at 8:30 in the morning when he came back for him to
When he came
actually,
back, what day?
January 21st?
That's Tuesday.
Yes,
That's Tuesday.
because he's not going to come in on a Saturday or a Sunday or
Okay.
on his
Okay.
day
It was
off.
just
That's
circular.
not going to happen.
Yeah.
So my
It's
original
just-
ask was
And
that-
again,
apologize to West
Yes.
Suburban for picking up food that was meant to be distributed and letting it sit and rot, okay? And that the second request is that going forward, Jordan Toots, the director of the food pantry, is to be contacted, he's to be the main point person for all food related business conducted for the township.
trustee
Yeah,
Robinson,
I don't wanna pile on, I just wanna say. There's gonna be a new board, it's gonna be a new supervisor, you're setting expectations that it's gonna be hard to preserve moving forward. So I think scale back whatever you're asking Stephen to do. Operate within your swim lane, and let the staff do the things that we've hired them to do, whether it be the point of contact for food, whether it be organizing. I think it's gonna take a lot of stress off of you. I think it's gonna take a lot of stress off the board and the township employees, so please, just a simple request.
Trustee guys, stand this up.
trustee guys,
No, I,
Please muted.
she
my
muted
hand was
herself.
up from before. I did not take it down from at first.
Okay, and it's apparent that we don't have any volunteer forms from prior to 2023. So when I was looking at, seeing that there was a lack of forms, I didn't see any of the garden volunteers. One of which who has a key to the facility. I didn't see a bunch of volunteer forms missing. So I think there's a lack of continuity of those four forms from prior to 2023.
Then you should
Possibly, but they didn't drive the vehicle.
And you should take care of that. If there's a problem, you should take care of it.
Right,
Question, John, have we ensured now all people who are permitted to drive our vehicles have been drug tested, background tested, licensed, everything, right?
We're running records through Accurate.
Okay.
That'll be the job of, well, I don't wanna say staff people, but
Right.
this also formalizes it, the policy you adopted, because when that expense comes through, it'll be twice a year and it's tied to an ordinance. then.
Okay.
So, and an expectation, and we will go back around, the ordinance has been adopted, so we go back around, train them, collect all valid information, run them, and then we start that normal operating rhythm of 6 months from now, we run them. And we make sure that each time they get an updated policy, they get a chance to ask questions. You know, we go over with them, do you have any questions? Yes, no, but then they sign the acknowledgement form that goes in the personnel file. It's not a long meeting, it's just a touch point. And at this point, we'll collect their driving records and just say from now, at this point forward, every 6 months, we'll run you. So if there's a change, it's better off you let us know, and we'll point out that. That essentially dual set, it's a two-way street.
Okay.
And then it just happens regularly, and it also formalizes the authority to do it. Like, we're not trying to be invasive with your information, but this is an expectation.
Right.
Sharing it with the insurance company, it formally states, we must do this as staff twice a year. And then sharing that with the insurance broker goes, oh, they're being proactive. Before, we didn't know what they're doing. But generally, my experience as a former risk manager, the person who dealt with that is the more you're doing that, the more ammunition you're giving your broker to push back with your insurance company. It's the same thing with your homeowners. You're making improvements to your property, safeguard their investment. Sure, they may give you a break on premiums. And at the last hit, we took 14% steep. So anything we can do to lower 1% would be great.
Agree. Thank
It-
you.
And I know I'm talking too much, but
Right,
I think, we do want a list of the volunteers. I mean, and one of the big reasons why, besides knowing who's in the building and who's doing things at what time, is that we want to thank them. You know, I don't think we have really, in the 4 years we've been here, formally thanked or had any kind of an appreciation formally to our volunteers, that it would be really nice for all of us to acknowledge the work that our community is doing at our township and for our, and for our other community members. So a list would be great.
Great, and there have been volunteer lunches, especially
How
for
do you
the
know?
food.
There's not a list.
They are invited every single year. We've had at least 3. So there have been
Alright.
volunteer lunches for the township, so that's not an accurate statement.
But it is.
It is not accurate.
We can talk
Um,
after, but how are you inviting people that you don't have a record of?
Jordan literally invites people. He's done it for years. And prior to Jordan, there was a volunteer luncheon. That's a common thing that we've done for the last 3 years. Any other new business? Trustee McGovern,
Are we having a budget meeting prior to the next month's? meeting?
Yeah, I was gonna do that under elected officials. I would like to have a budget meeting. We're still having discussions around, staff, salaries.
We had, yes,
Okay.
yeah.
So, yeah, what? How about I send an email, poll people for what works for them? Does that work, or do you want to make a
Yeah,
decision?
what scope are we thinking, like next week or the?
John, do you have a preference when you think we should get together?
If it's next week, let's make it later in the week, just so we have time to make sure everything's done.
All right,
That way there's plenty of time before your March meeting. It gives you time to think.
all right. How does the 20th work for folks?
I can have it.
That's a Thursday.
It's a Thursday, right?
I work
What-
after 3.
After 3?
To 3.
First, you guys, you following the discussion? We're trying to see if the 20th is a date for a finance committee meeting to,
I just
Finalize.
was opening my calendar.
okay, perfect. Just want to make sure you heard us talking.
What time are you what time are you proposing?
Well, trustee McGovern said anything after about 3 o'clock.
Yep.
3:30 works, anything after that works for her.
Yes.
How does that work for
Uh,
you?
How about, is 4 o'clock okay? Because that's about as early as I can do it, and I don't want to go into the evening.
I agree. All right.
Oh, you know what? I forgot I have something that date.
Okay. What, 21st, the Friday?
No.
No? Okay. All right. What about a week today, the 19th? No? All right,
It's
let's go,
getting tight, so
let's go the week out. Let's go. another
Let's
week.
go back to the 20th and we can do, I'll do 3 o'clock.
3:20.
Okay. All right, super. John?
One thing with the checks, I misspoke, 51907, can I hold that one until I get? Can I know you approved the expense, but can I just hold it until I get the piece of paper? I was looking at it, like, man, yeah, get a bunch.
We just won't sign it.
Yeah, okay,
Okay.
so I'll hold that, just hold it, 51907,
Sorry, just to
No
close out,
receipts also.
yeah.
just to close out. So 3 o'clock on the 20th. Supervisor Hewitt, does that work for you?
No, I can't.
Do you want to be part of the discussion?
It's not necessary.
Okay, thank you. All right, February 20th at 3 PM. Thank you.
Okay, any elected officials reports?
I have nothing.
Nothing to report?
Nothing.
Sorry, I want to follow up. Wasn't a good action item from,
No,
no? Okay, thank you.
catch up later.
Okay, cool, fine, just like, didn't. I got his back. Thank you, nothing.
Okay, then. Then executive session, is there a need? Motion to adjourn,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.